In our very first match, 10 strikes, each professional. Mark Thayer winning 279 to 253. Thayer then went against Robert Lawrence of Austin, Texas, 245 to 170. And there you see that Lawrence now goes against the twice Player of the Year, Amleto Monacelli. This is the Roseland Bowl, 60 lanes, lots of seating capacity this week, and rightfully so, because this friendly era, they embraced the professional bowlers in grand fashion, Nelson, and it's heartwarming to all of us associated with the Professional Bowlers Tour. And it has been announced that the U.S. Open will be back here next year. Big field of 240, Nelson.
Right, Chris. There are 144 pros, 96 league players. So we look at the top 24 that didn't make the top 5. Walter Ray Williams up there, 5th place, 8th place. McDowell, the president. Peter Hakem, 11th place. Good week for him. I'll be a great champion.
Okay.
Bob Benoit, Pete Weber, the defending champion, 15th place. Wonderlic, 3 top 24s in a row. Ray Edwards. Dave Ferraro's had the hot hand this winter. Don Moser, 19th. Del Ballard Jr., former U.S. Open champion. Mark Roth, who won this tournament in 1984, 21st. Vesby, the early leader. David Ozio, the 1991 Player of the Year. And the man trying to outrun the bird is Ice, 24th place, a league player, Chris.
All right, there they are. Hundreds of them. Jack Moran estimated a crowd of 800, and that's big for any bowling establishment because there's so little room. We're in Canandaigua, and next week we're in Windsor Locks. A $2,000 Tums Man on the Bubble Award will be offered to the player bumped from the Firestone Tournament of Champions field should the winner of the Tums Classic, that's next week, not already be eligible for the Firestone and the Man on the Bubble. This moment is Art Trask. That's next week, Windsor Locks, Connecticut. And then 2 weeks from today, the number 16 final on the Winter Tour, the Firestone Tournament of Champions in Fair Lawn. Right now, it's semifinal time at the United States Open in Canandaigua between Syracuse and Rochester.
Little stats for the first 13 weeks of the PBA Tour. The player that starts the match, this one being Monacelli, has won 28 out of 52. That's 53%. So it's a coin toss to see if you have any advantage starting.
As a number 2 seed, Amleto is 1-8. 1 victory and 8 losses, but he has a total of 11 titles in 10 years.
He averaged more than anybody on a championship pair, Monacelli, 247, but the hot hand is held by Robert Lawrence, who told me he threw an experimental shot in the 10th frame to see if he had pull area when he got that split.
Crossing over and leaving the 6-10.
And I guess he found out he didn't have pull area in the 10th frame and decided to do it again, but that one was by accident. As he goes high, avoids the split, leaves the 6-10, changes balls to a low surface friction ball, slided across the lane, the danger of the chop.
Of course, with our head-to-head format, the winner of this game moves into the final against Scott Devers. The person that loses the match will get $12,000. Bob Learn Jr. earned $6,500 today, and Mark Thayer with $8,000.
The grip of Robert Lawrence, much like the great Hank Marino, who won the National Match Game Championship, or forerunner to this, in 1938. Tight thumb hole and a lot of reverse pitch.
This is the Open. The All-Star in the Open, won by names like Vera Papa, Carter, Weber, Welu, Hardwick, Stefanich, Day, Bowman.
Monacelli today will join a elite group of reaching $1 million mark on the PBA Tour in winnings, despite what he does in this match. But he'd like to get his first major.
Crossing over, the man that coming in needed only $6,134 to reach that magic mark attained by 7 others.
Monacelli with a style we've seen so many times, very contemporary style. Look at the open hand out there. Look at his thumbs pointing straight up, but look at how solid his pivot step is, pointing directly down the target line, head steady, pulls that left shoulder back, snaps the wrist. Got a good break crossing over, and he is perfect through 2 frames.
Man that was second in last year's Firestone.
The Rudolph Valentino haircut of Monacelli going against the bad boy of the PBA Tour, Robert Lawrence.
High hit, leaving the 3-6 on the right lane for the man that shot a .245 with 8 strikes in his win over Mark Thayer.
We're seeing a quick change in the lane as you see Robert Lawrence's ball drifting high. Both of these players have gone high on 48. The championship pair 47-48. Lawrence high in the first frame, high in the third, and Monacelli getting a great break in his shot over here, crossing over.
There you see the score. Lawrence trailing by 20. In match play, defeated Monacelli 200-191.
Chris, you said that Lawrence won $50,000 as you check his grip again. In 1989 in regional play, he won almost $92,000 combined with that singles championship and regional tournaments. The first solid tap of the day. Every time a player has hit the pocket, he has been rewarded so far today. We had a half 10 by Thayer in one of the earlier matches, but this is the first time a player hit solid in the pocket and had anything but a strike.
Robert Lawrence, both his wins came in 1990, winning the True Value and also the Fairlane. From Canandaigua, we're going to take a break and then return. Yes, the leadership of all of bowling has gathered here in Canandaigua. Here's the President of the American Bowling Congress, Henry Lipinski, Commissioner of the PBA, there alongside Bud Fisher. They're here watching now Amleto Monacelli. 3 in a row. Up high, 3, 6, 10. 10 did not go. Went back home to Barranquilla, Venezuela for a rest, and Teresa, his wife, did not return because there are only 2 more stops. Windsor Locks, Tums Classic next week, and the Firestone Tournament of Champions before most of the month of May can be a respite for these pros who've gone out here 16 weeks in a row and battled. Okay, Nelson.
Thank you, Chris Schenkel. Tournament leader Scott Devers. Scott, the tournament leader so far in 1992 has 3 wins, 10 losses. What do you feel is the reason the tournament leaders lost so much this year, and is there anything you can do about it today?
Well, I think that I try not to look at most of the negative statistics that's out here. I'm going to go out and I'm going to bowl my game like I've bowled all week long. I'm going to try to fill as many frames as I possibly can, hopefully throw as many strikes as I can, and hopefully I'll be the winner.
Chris, I've heard that story before, and it hasn't worked. Let's see what happens.
Okay, as Amleto Monacelli slides through, just slashing through, leaving the 1, 2, 10, the washout. And Amleto opened with 3 strikes and marked with a spare. His lead is 15 pins at this point. This is the semifinal game, the winner to meet Scott Devers for the $40,000 championship prize for the U.S. Open. All out. The 1989 and 1990 Player of the Year. Only his second telecast in 1992 after 6 last year and 9 the previous year. He was second at the True Value at Landmark Lanes in Peoria. Now Lawrence. Next on Wide World of Sports, as you're watching the U.S. Open, world record long jumper Mike Powell is part of a big field for the right to go to the finals of the Jeep Superstars and Derby hopefuls. Will be in Kentucky for the Bluegrass Stakes presented by Kawasaki. All next, ABC Sports. leading up to the first Saturday in May Classic Kentucky Derby Bowl right here on ABC.
That'll be interesting. No prohibitive favorite yet has surfaced in the Derby. Now Lawrence, fifth frame, can take the lead with a double.
Battling back. 245 win over Mark Thayer, previous game. 245, 177.
The big swinging hook, Lawrence with his eyes down. Best shot he threw in the match. He trailed by 4 going in the shot. He now leads by 6. Monacelli, who has really kind of struggled. Let's see what kind of adjustment he can make to get back into the match.
Both professionals from bowling families. Amleto Monacelli takes time off periodically during the tour, and each time he returns, his performance is enhanced. Why?
I usually take off when I feel like I just got to get away from bowling, from everybody, just go home, see the family, and just do something different, go to my business, and then I get ready to, get some practice, work on my bowling a little bit before I come back, and I'm ready to go.
Trying to regain the lead with a strike up, leaving the 245. Amleto, who in 1980 went to an English language institute in Mississippi, there for 9 months to learn our language.
Lawrence contemplating the match. He knows that right now Monacelli's in trouble. Monacelli's got to get the ball in this zone, the 2-5 zone, take out the 4 and 8, and he only trailed by 6.
Okay, we're in our semifinal game in the United States Open. We'll return following this. Here's a host for the United States Open here in 1992. Proprietor of Roseland Bowl of 60 Lanes, Jack Moran. Irish smile. Ah, yes. Now, Robert Lawrence leading by 6 pins, a double-up shooting in the 7th frame, going against Amleto Monacelli. Very close to the channel, leading a 10.
Robert Lawrence looks up to the announce booth. His good buddy Del Ballard Jr., who won last week at the Toyota Classic in Sayville, knowing he threw that ball way too wide, gets a great break, leaving the wall shot 10, needs this spare to maintain his lead. Trouble, the ball went in the channel. Once it leaves the playing surface, it is dead. That does not count. It's a miss. And right now, Robert Lawrence, a little nonchalant as you see the ball sliding by, has given Monacelli a great boost as Lawrence drops to 7 pins in arrears after 7 frames.
And bounces right back.
Monacelli, excellent training habits, runs almost every day. He's a vegetarian, has given up meat for the last 11 years. He feels that keeps him nice and healthy for all the traveling he has on the road. I guess the jury's a little bit out on that, but right now he leads the match.
4, 6, 7.
What has happened? We saw the first 2 games, high-scoring environment. Once again, I repeat that the PBA, as you see Monacelli cutting it loose and cutting right through the middle, the PBA stripped or cleaned the last 15 feet of the lane. The lanes look great. Now it looks like we're having some of that carry-down or oil problem. The scoring environment has toughened here in the semifinal.
Monacelli with 11 titles. Lawrence with 2. It's Power and Speed tomorrow, right here on ABC Sports. That's right. First, the World League regional action as the New York, New Jersey Knights take on their rivals, the division-leading Orlando Thunder. Or, on ABC, traveling to Ohio to Montreal to battle a machine. Then the Indy cars will speed through the streets at the Toyota Grand Prix. Long Beach, live. A 10.
When the oil carries down the lane, you can see it at home even, that the ball does not hook as much. The ball's sliding a little as it enters the pocket. Taps start to appear. The scoring environment drops. And right now for Monacelli, with the conversion, he would trail by 7 pins through 9 frames. The jury is still out on this match. Robert Lawrence, as he comes up in the 9th frame, going at a 196 pace. That means if he spares strikes, spare the rest of the way, 196 would be his game. Monacelli, a possible 199. This is a big shot right here. Robert Lawrence.
And a 310.
Starting to get ugly. From 270s, we're going to 170s. The ball cuts through the middle. The 310 baby split, Chris. Pretty easy spare for the pros. They should make this about 50% of the time if they want to win money out here on the Pro Bowlers Tour. Get the ball to the right of the 3-pin, let the ball carry into the 10. He needs this to maintain his lead through 9 frames.
He was at the line begging for that shot.
Well, Lawrence in his interviews said that he has been getting beaten up out here on the Professional Bowlers Tour in the match play segments. Well, right now he's down to the key match play segment, and he determines his own position right now. If he throws 2 strikes, he shuts out Monacelli. Anything less, Monacelli can throw strikes in the 10th and win the match.
Here's the man that must win today or next week to re-qualify for the Firestone.
Right now, for Lawrence, strike, 4 pins, lock city. He goes into the championship match against Devers. Anything less, this man, Monacelli, still has a chance. The 10, that opens the door for Monacelli. What faces Monacelli, if indeed Lawrence converts his spare, he would finish with 196. Monacelli would need 2 strikes and 8 pins.
And Amleto choosing to finish on that lane bow.
That was his choice. You're right, Chris. He has the choice as a higher finisher in the tournament to finish the match. This has been his choice. Now he must perform. 2 strikes, anything less, and he loses.
And now Monacelli with the 310. Lawrence had it earlier.
And in Spanish, it's adios for Senor Monacelli because he needed 2 strikes to win the match. He will not win. The final is going to be Robert Lawrence against the lefty Scott Devers for the U.S. Open title, 3-year exemption to the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
But nevertheless, Amleto Monacelli became a millionaire today. He has a total of $105,266. $1,000,001. ABC Sports presentation, the Professional Bowlers Tour will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Okay, here in the United States Open, Mark Thayer with 10 strikes, matched by Learns 10, 279 to 253. Then Lawrence steps in and defeats Thayer 245-177 with 8 strikes. Lawrence defeats Monacelli with 7 strikes, 196 to 184, which leads us to the championship match, 40,000 to the winner. Scott Dever will be in there. Yes, a lot of strikes today on our telecast, Bo, and our director Larry Cam came up visually to show you how it all happens, and Bo did the commentary on it. So let's take a look at the anatomy of a bowling strike.
The goal of every first shot in the sport of bowling is to strike. There are various ways to achieve this. However, there is one recognized method that gives a player the highest percentage. Even in slow motion, it is difficult to see the exact action of each pin once the ball has impacted the head pin. So let's take a closer look at the dynamics of the ideal strike. You'll notice that the ball only hits 4 pins, the 1, 3, 5, and 9. Now let's add the 2 pin to the rack. The number 1 pin will do the job here. Now the 4 and 6 pins. The key pin is the 2 on the 4, the 3 on the 6. Now in the back row, the 8 pin. The 5 pin in the center of the rack takes out the 8. And finally, the 2 toughest pins to knock down in bowling, the 7 and 10 pins. The domino effect of the 2, 4, and 7 and the 3, 6, 10 will give you a strike. So when your friends say, nice shot, you knocked down all 10 pins with the ball, say, thank you, but that's not necessarily true. I only knocked down 4 pins. However, I will take credit for a strike.
Okay, well done, guys. Now into the championship match. 40 to the winner, 22 to the runner-up. Neither with a major under their professional bowling belts. Robert Lawrence with a victory over Amleto Monacelli should fortify him now going against the left-hander Scott Devers. Lawrence with 2 victories today, now in the title match. And watching the anatomy of a strike. That's how it happens.
Exactly right. He only hit 4 pins with the ball. The remaining pins did the work. Now, Scott Devers, the only lefty in the top 5, our tournament leader, was steady all week long.
He has 4 championships to his credit: Tucson, Austin, El Paso, and in the city of Rochester, New York, not too far from Canandaigua, where we're watching the United States Open Championship. His last win, Scott Devers, was in El Paso in 1990.
What scoring environment it's going to show up in the championship game as you look at Devers' full grip? 266 was in the average the first game, then it dropped to 211 in the second game, and then 190 for the 2 players in the semifinal. What's going to happen here?
Well, he jumps out there quickly. The left-hander from Richmond, Indiana, born in Centerville, a little town nearby.
Now the bad boy of the PBA Tour. He likes that nickname. He's really a nice guy. Needs to throw a strike to keep this match even.
The gunslinger, huh?
You bet. Good match game player.
So smooth and tied.
Well, he made a real good move here. He moved farther out on the lane. Well, I mean that. He's sending the ball almost out to the edge board to get around all the oil carry down. He's in a nice smooth area. He's got a different shot than he played in the previous game. And Chris, he could be very, very tough in this match, although both players are even through 2. Well, it didn't seem like he expected a strike out of that, so as you see Scott Devers working on those fingers that have taken a beating through 7 days of bowling to get to the number 1 position, he knows from the reaction of the crowd that Lawrence's string has stopped.
Okay, the man who had 6 in a row in his first game here this afternoon now has a double and a spare. Devers leads by 1, can increase it to 11. Shooting in the 3rd frame of the title game for the U.S. Open title. Seven pin.
The Hoosier with kind of a serpentine arm swing. He pushes it away along the target line, takes it outside, but here's the key part. He took it out here, he re-wraps it, then he sends it right back through the target line without that realignment. A league player with a 180 average. Leaves the 7-pin, needs this to stay even.
On our telecasts this year, the top seed, which Scott Devers is this week, top seed has won 3 of the 13 telecasts. His fiancée, Jacqueline Laforette, there she is. Her fiancé, very wise. He built a house prior to marriage in Richmond, Indiana.
Lovely state to live in, partner. Match is even through 3 frames. Championship.
All right, Jacqueline likes it. We hope you do too. Championship match don't go away. A lot more to come as we're all even. Again, more leaders in bowling. Commissioner of the Professional Bowlers Association, and from Akron, Ohio, Mike Connor. Robert Lawrence, Austin, Texas. 2 victories coming into the championship against the tournament leader, Scott Devers.
Watch the action of Robert Lawrence. He's cut down his hook a little bit. He's over the 3rd arrow, but he's not playing the real wide shot with the big snap. He's just rolling it right on in. The ball's cutting through. The match is even through 4. U.S. Open Championship, 3-year exemption of the Firestone, and a lifetime exemption into this tournament wherever it may go.
Ten-pin, and that means, Bo, that you and our scorer today, winner last week, Del Ballard, can bowl wherever it is, whenever you want to.
Hopefully we will. I had a good time this week. I averaged 210 and didn't even get a smell. The lane condition was absolutely ideal most all week long. The players bowling the best are rolling for the title.
Smoothly. Robert Lawrence covers the 10-pin. Now it is Scott Devers. 3-1 as a top seed. He has 4 titles, as we told you.
You see 7 rounds up there. Those are all 8-game rounds, 56 games, 7 days. Devers can take the lead with a strike here.
What a match for the title. Scott Devers has a very unusual training regimen. Just listen.
Yeah, a couple of years ago I built a new house and I decided to put a shortened lane in my basement. When you're out on tour week after week, you get a little tired of looking at bowling centers, and I enjoy being at home, so when I decide to practice, I just go downstairs, I throw a few shots, work on my practice, my timing, and it seems to work for me.
Short lane, about a 17-foot approach and a 30-foot lane. And actually, a pro doesn't have to practice on a full lane, Chris. He's already developed his game. He doesn't really need to shoot at pins, and he just needs the perspective of the arrows. Now, all he needs to do is get the ball over here in the 6-10 zone and go for 2 of them. It'd be foolish with a double up to try to kick out the 4-pin. Very smart move. Take your split, take 9 out, and work on the rest of the game. That's what he's doing.
Wise move by 30-year-old Scott Devers.
We mentioned the amateurs are league players in this tournament. In the last 4 years, the amateurs have averaged 19 pins less than the pros, the 144 pros, up till this year. They closed that gap down to just 10 pins, Chris. So interesting and a good week for the league players against the pros.
Leaving a 4-pin on the right lane.
Lawrence with this spare would have a nice 4-pin lead.
So with the win here today, as you saw, Robert Lawrence would re-qualify for the Firestone.
All right, What do you do when you've never won a major? You need to qualify for the Firestone, $40,000 at stake. You know what the best training regimen is? Is just keep your eyes on your target. Think about your form. Maintain that form. This man's probably bowled 30,000 games in his life, and these next 4 frames are the most important. So concentrate. Think about the form, not the score.
19-5 in 24 games of match play. Robert Lawrence, who was 16-8. It was Scott Devers, who was 19-5. Marshall Holman, PEBA all-time money winner, $1,500,000, followed by Roth. Then, today, number 8, Amleto Monacelli, $1,500,266. Oops.
Well, Devers had a chance to really take hold of this match coming up there in the 6th frame when he had 2 strikes working, a 10-pin lead, could have made it 20. He opened in the 6th, now gets the solid 7 in the 7th. This conversion, he would be 4 pins down.
If you just joined us, defending champion Pete Weber, winning last year in Indianapolis, finished 15th here.
Players often talk about their own game, and Scott Devers, by his own volition, described his style as ugly, but there's that old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think a lot of the young players come out here on the tour, and they don't have success right away, and they start fiddling with their games. Good move by Devers to stay with his natural game. Now, Devers, with a little drift in his approach, will start here, drift this way, and actually throw the ball almost straight down the 2nd arrow.
And a 6-10. We're in Canandaigua between Syracuse and Rochester. We're glad our sports director at Channel 9 in Syracuse, Doug Logan, checked in to say hello. They carry our show and have a lot of viewers in the Syracuse area.
You're right, Chris. And here's one of the best spare shooters in all of bowling. In the TPC Tournament Players Championship last year, in 48 games, only missed 1 spare.
Robert Lawrence, who is up and ready to go, leads by 6 pins. He has a strike up, shooting now in the 8th frame. It's getting late for the U.S. Open Championship.
Not often you can stand on the approach and have the U.S. Open Championship, Chris, in the palm of your hand if you can throw some strikes. That luxury is Robert Lawrence's right here.
Wanted that one.
Well, he goes from happy to sad in 1 second. He was wide here. He thought it was a good shot. Then he thinks it's going to be a 2-7 split. And he's hoping it strikes again. Conversion here, he will maintain his lead. As we come down the home stretch, Lawrence going at a 2:08 pace, Devers 2:02. U.S. Open at stake. 2 frames left.
And in the first game, Mark Thayer defeated Bob Learn Jr. 279 to 253. Lawrence over Thayer 245 to 177. Then Lawrence over Monacelli 196 to 184. Now the 4th game as Superstars follows. Jeep Superstars and Live Bluegrass Stakes. What you build for in a professional career.
It's up to Devers to answer the message given to him by Robert Lawrence. It's going to take strikes to win this one. 9th frame.
It was different